You know, if you've ever had a migraine, these words, they probably hit really close to home. It's so much more than just pain. It's this event that just completely takes over your life. But what is actually happening in our brains when this neurological storm decides to show up?
So let's dive right into this neurological puzzle, shall we? We're going to piece together the science behind what a migraine truly is, what sets it off, and maybe most importantly, how we can start to get a handle on it. All right. First things first, before we go any further, we have to get one thing straight right off the bat. A migraine is not just a bad headache. It is a complex neurological condition, and its impact is absolutely massive. I mean, just look at the numbers. Globally, up to 15% of people experience migraines. That is nearly 1 out of every 7 individuals on the planet. This isn't some rare complaint. It's a major public health issue. Yeah, that throbbing pain, that's usually the headliner, right? But a migraine attack is so much more. It's a full-body experience. It can mess with your vision, creating what's called an aura. It can make you so sensitive that a normal sound feels like an attack. It can even cause cognitive issues like brain fog. It's a complete sensory overload. So, what's actually going on inside our heads? What's the biological machinery that's driving all of this? Well, to really understand migraines, we've got to look at the unique way the migraine brain is wired. At the very core of it all is this concept, hyper-excitable nerves. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a car alarm that's just set way too sensitive. The nerve cells are basically predisposed to overreact to things that a non-migraine brain would just ignore. It's a fundamental difference in your neurology. And that leads perfectly into this idea of a tipping point, or what experts call the migraine threshold. Think about it like this. All those little triggers, stress, maybe you skipped a meal, not enough sleep, they don't just happen in a bubble. They stack up, one on top of the other, until, bam, you cross your personal threshold and the attack launches. And get this, our understanding is changing all the time. Brand new research using high-powered MRIs has found something absolutely fascinating. It looks like the brain's tiny fluid-filled spaces, think of it like the brain's plumbing system for clearing out waste, might actually be enlarged in people with migraines. This could point to actual physical differences in the brain, which opens up all sorts of new ideas for treatment. Okay, so if we have this migraine threshold, this tipping point, what are the things that are actually pushing us over the edge? Those are the triggers. And honestly, figuring out your personal triggers is one of the most powerful things you can do to take back control. So, what are the usual suspects? A huge study gives us a pretty clear picture. Topping the list, no surprise here, is stress at 58%. Right behind it, loud noises. Then you've got fatigue, fasting or skipping meals, and hormonal changes. You know, the basic stuff of everyday life that can stack up and push you past that line. And beyond those big 5, there's this whole other universe of triggers that people just swear by. You've got flashing lights, big weather changes, strong smells like perfume, even an intense emotional release like crying can be enough to kickstart that whole cascade. The biggest takeaway here, your triggers are deeply personal, and it's often a combination of things.
Okay, so knowing your triggers is all about prevention. But what do you do when an attack actually hits? This is where it's so important to know the 2 main ways to treat migraines. You've got acute treatment. That's your, oh no, it's happening right now, emergency response. And then you have preventative treatment. That's your long-term game plan to make attacks happen less often. Let's zero in on that acute phase first. The attack is here. That hammer is on your head. What do you do right here, right now, in the moment? The research on this could not be clearer. Speed is everything. You have to treat it immediately, ideally within the first hour, or even better, the first 15 minutes. After you've taken your medication, your next job is to just shut everything down, retreat. Get to a dark, quiet room. A cold compress on your forehead or neck can be a lifesaver too. It helps numb the area and constrict blood vessels. Now, when it comes to medication, you've got everything from over-the-counter stuff to prescription drugs called triptans. Finding what works for you is absolutely a conversation to have with your doctor. But here's a really important heads up. If you use these pain relievers too often, you can actually get something called medication overuse headaches. It's a cruel twist where the cure starts to become part of the problem.
All right, let's flip the script and talk about being proactive. How can we make our brains, well, less reactive? The whole goal of long-term prevention is to raise your personal migraine threshold. We want to make it way harder for those triggers to ever push you over the edge.
You know what the migraine brain loves? It loves consistency. A regular sleep schedule, and yeah, even on weekends, is absolutely huge. Same goes for regular meals and staying hydrated to keep your body chemistry stable. And things like gentle, consistent exercise and stress management, they aren't just nice to do. For so many people, these are the non-negotiable building blocks of prevention.
And you can also support your brain from the inside out with nutrition. Turns out some studies have linked deficiencies in certain nutrients to more frequent migraines. So things like magnesium, which is great for calming the nervous system, and vitamin B2, which helps with your cell's energy, can make a real difference for some people.
But at the end of the day, this has to be all about you. It has to be personalized. And your single most powerful tool for that? A headache diary. Seriously, tracking your sleep, your food, your stress, your symptoms, it lets you and your doctor see the unique patterns. It turns all the guesswork into an actual data-driven strategy. Look, a migraine is a really complex puzzle, for sure, but it is not an unsolvable one. Just understanding that it's a real neurological condition, not just a headache, that's the first huge step. From there, it's all about becoming a detective of your own body, identifying your triggers, and building a proactive plan to raise your threshold. The knowledge is right here. The only question left is, what are you going to do with it?